Climate change is one of the most important issues that the world faces today. It is a threat on a number of levels, but perhaps the problem is most imminent for coastal areas and islands. It is in these places that rising sea levels will be felt first. Scientists believe that hotter temperatures on Earth caused by the emission of greenhouse gases are causing sea levels to rise. There are growing concerns that Pacific Ocean islands are at risk of being swallowed by a swelling ocean, some in the not-too-distant future. Increased typhoon and cyclone frequency and resulting damage are also thought to be a symptom of climate change. Experts worry that bigger and more powerful storms could do more than destroy nature, but also destroy traditional cultures and ways of life around the world. This prompts the question, what can and should be done to protect cultures from the effects of climate change? In search of an answer, we visited the Pacific island country of Fiji. We decided to head to a remote island called Gau. We were accompanied by researchers from the University of the South Pacific. We went in search of ideas on how to protect low-lying islands from the ravages of climate change. There is one flight each week to the island of Gau from Fiji's capital of Suva. The trip takes about 30 minutes. Gau is a small island stretching about 20 kilometers from north to south. It is surrounded by coral reefs. The island's undeveloped road infrastructure makes boats an indispensable means of traveling between villages. So it was by boat that we headed to one of the villages on the island. Malawai is a small village located on Gau's east coast. We used this village as our base of operations. From here, we visited various places on the island. Upon arriving in the village, we were welcomed with a ceremony called sevu sevu. This involves drinking a beverage called yangona. Yangona is made by mashing the root of a plant of the pepper family and mixing it with water. It tastes slightly bitter, but is said to have a calming effect. Sevu sevu is an important cultural tradition to the people of Fiji. The next morning, the villagers took us to the coast.
Yo dasamere tungkona buno saya tungkona nuku na derni level siwol kena sambudi ni meti na ciri pasa karuan siwol daka ubiat kuna na ngono ni ko pasa to ko iwengo na bunongo na wai dunia sarangan na valililai ko na tokan rutu na ping Pacific ko ngo kena palek kauya ena yala ni wa ingo na buno bulu ke de wala komingo pameto bachungo na ngona sarangango na buno bulu ke de mingo wala ko sundu.
They said that in recent years, higher sea levels have continued to eat away at the village's coast. Many of the plants that had grown along the coast have died because the soil that supported them was washed away.
Ko na bunindilongo sa walengay ko ito na kananiway. Tururo tumina bunikongo. Wala ko subungo. Nangito bule minati tala minachiri kini seso mi waingo mina mi pa binakata na buno sa mi waleng kato na waingo.
To address the erosion issue, an initiative is underway to plant mangroves that grow in tidal flats. These trees thrive in brackish or salt water and are expected to mitigate coastal erosion. Next, we visited a school in the village. The children of Malawai go to a school in the neighboring village of Lamiti. The school has been equipped with solar panels to provide the necessary electricity.
Nari house?
Yeah. Just like that. And when it's 8 o'clock, they have to be 1, 2, like, up to 8.
Yeah. O'clock.
Yeah.
We next visited the village of Vanuaso. The village coast is covered by a dense mangrove forest. As boats cannot directly access the coast, you must walk across a tidal flat to reach the village. The mountains around the village used to be bare. The lack of trees meant that the village chronically faced water shortages. To remedy this, the villagers planted pine trees with the cooperation of the University of the South Pacific and attempted to regenerate the forest.
As a village project. So, have you all member side? So far they've got 5 of these kind of houses. Wooden, yeah. This is part of their housing scheme. Again, as part of our adaptation to climate change, we're promoting going back to wooden houses because the concrete ones, like the one you stay in, after a while it gets crack up and it's falling apart. It's hard to repair compared to this. Yeah, if this one gets broken, you can just take off a few, you replace it. So basically, the sawmill is to mill the forested, planted forests, and that hopefully will provide them some building material. When I was growing up in Gau, a long time back, that part, before the pine came on, was covered already in very poor bushes, very poor vegetation. The hardy ones, the real survivors, if you like. So the land was already quite degraded at that time. But since they planted the pine there, he could now grow. This is very demanding. Often this is the plant, the first plant that the farmers cultivate in an area. After they've harvested this, they can then go to cassava, they can go to other things, sweet potato. But this often is the first. For him to be growing this in the middle of the forest, that tells a different story. Yeah? Maybe for the last 10 years. So the pine has really changed the... People say that it dries up the land, but in this case, actually, the land has become much more useful for agriculture than it was before then. Because in the past, it was regularly burnt, so the quality of vegetation was not good.
So,
And I remember that.
very interesting. So,
Very interesting.
We went to see this forest of planted pine trees.
And leave the others to...
We were told that a new field for farming has been cultivated inside this pine forest.
But he would testify to the fact that these crops would not be here under the previous vegetative cover. But because of the pine over the last, say, 30 years, this place has been transformed and now he can plant. Yeah. You did not uproot the pine trees from here? Why didn't they plant pine trees here? So ironically, yeah, that's what the villagers had thought at the time, when they saw the first the site. They thought not to plant pine here because maybe it can be used for. So that was always the intention. I asked him why we did not have pine, like all the other places we've seen, but that's what he said. Yeah. It was always the hope that this could be a garden. Yeah, because of, like you have the lowland, the hills, and then things from there would come down here. But the last time Kana and I were here, big cover trees were here, right here. I have the picture with both of us standing under the trees, the cover trees, cover plants.
What the no kani yang kono wa ko tani na so maloi.
Oh, hiki. Yeah, he brought the root for the competition, the agricultural show in May. Yeah, so that was from a plant from here. So there you go.
Next, we headed to the village of Lekanai. In Lekanai, traditional Fijian houses called bure can still be seen today. Here, a villager is mashing yangona root. A training program was underway in Lekanai to teach the villagers how to use this mobile sawmill. The saw being used was one that was donated by the Japanese government. Even in this village, houses made of modern materials such as metal and concrete are increasing. However, the idea is that if villagers can saw logs by themselves, then they can obtain lumber and they can produce and supply their own materials for building houses in Gau. Next, we visited the village of Nawaikama. Nawaikama is also experiencing serious erosion of its coastline.
Kua ngā mai whenua sanga sa nguna lau tu no tonga sa sanga ni lau tu na. Kua ngā ribu puti ana kua ngā ni taka ni siwolungo ka diri tuida ke. Nguna sa sanga sa alonga mena wa sa lubuta na kina pata iki la nandu rita e chala ni lau tu na. Kina kakana ni bimbara bingo kana kakana ni waye sa rambale na.
So basically for them it's mostly the impact of higher sea level, because that road we just followed to come here is periodically inundated. So at high tide, exceptional high tide, the water covers the road. And the other issue is that of coastal erosion along the. So hopefully, when you do that short tour, you can document some of what is happening.
In this village, people engage in chicken farming using abandoned houses. Until they began chicken farming, these people had to purchase eggs brought from off the island. Chickens have long been raised in the village, but their eggs were hardly used. Now that chicken farming has enabled a steady supply of eggs, the village has become able to sell eggs to other villages on Gau. Finally, we returned to Malawai and visited Dr. Jolie Vetayaki's experimental farm.
So we are in Malawai village, where behind me is the shed, the first construction to be built on what we hope will be a demonstration center, a sustainable development demonstration center for Ngau initially, but hopefully for the rest of the group. Because up until now, we have been having some like demonstration. We have cattle farms in a few villages. We have mangrove rehabilitation in some, composting toilets in others, but they're all over the island. So it's very difficult to make the connections. I've now decided this is what we need to do. We need to bring it all together in a central location, so people will come and see that the forest is there, clean river is there, and yet agriculture is being undertaken here. So this building, we hope, is the first step towards that. We've got at the moment, thanks to Japanese embassy, a sawmill, a mobile sawmill, that is to mill only the plantation forest, because our aim is to protect as much of the native forest that is left as possible. And the second thing is the tractor. We've just gone past a lot of lowlands, but at the moment people are using digging sticks. I mean, how much can you love it? So at the moment, that's the kind of tool that the villagers use. We now want to move to tractor so that they can maybe increase the size of their farm, therefore their productivity, but do it in an environmentally friendly way. By doing this kind of agriculture, like they do in Japan, we try not to go into the hills, stay on the lowlands. That's the aim. Yes.
So this project is not belong to one village, but the whole
This is
village.
part of the whole village, our whole island initiative. But I was able to get this piece of land from the landowners, and they've given ample amount. So it will be good to do all the things you want to. Those forests, we want to keep them as they are. We'll do the farming on the areas around where farming can be done using the machine. We've planted trees along the river to make sure that sediments don't wash off too easily from the land into the river. So those are the kinds of things that we will. And of course, try and utilize the best Japanese technology in terms of integrated farming. That's why the collaboration with Mie University. And now we want you to help us with the work on heritage sites, because our ultimate goal is to have this island as a natural and cultural heritage site. And we hope that more visitors, particularly from Japan and other places that appreciate this kind of thing, can come to Gau, because that's what we have on offer, rather than stay in mainland Vitilevu, where they stay in luxurious hotels but don't have the kind of rich vegetation, clean rivers like those ones out there that can provide trekking facility. There are. The last settlement before our ancestors moved down to the coast is over on that, you see that part of that silhouette? Yeah. Where there is that sort of little cut. Yeah? That's the site of, and according to those that have been up there, they've seen big Fijian pots.
Oh, really?
Still in the cooking place at the time. Huh? So we want to make sure that those kinds of things are, are protected, looked after, and that they be the source of the kind of tourists that we will get. So that it will justify keeping the forest, so that people can disappear in the forest for however long they want to be out there, and then come down to a settlement like this, or even to a village.
That would be a very nice combination.
Integrated,
of culture
yes.
and
Environment. That's what we want to do.
Yes. So they work as a volunteer?
Yes. Because after 15 years, I think they do see the relevance of what we are doing. So they did this all on a volunteer basis. But now I'm telling them, once the thing is up, all the people that planted nearby here, they can sleep in here during the week, so they don't have to go all the way to the village. They can sleep in here and then go nearby to their farms. So it is basically to try and foster a new kind of thinking amongst the youths, the villages.
So you mean that this center is also a kind of training center?
Of course, that's all I can do. I can train people, share the ideas. It's up to them. They are the farmers. They do the farming much better than I. But my job is to share with them the ideas. And I want to continue to be the conduit with Japan. Try and bring in what we think is relevant from Japan for implementation here. So that's, we have the chief here. He's the head of one of the 3 Matangalis. Yeah, so they are the owners of the land. And it's the village support is quite strong and quite welcoming.
Thank you very much.
We've actually started the cultivation. We've got some things planted.
We also went to see how the field was doing. This is a young sandalwood tree. It will be used to make incense. This is a taro field. Taro is the staple food of Fiji and its people. We were also shown a nearby pond. In previous times, it was said to be an important sacred place to the islanders.
Every new takalinga we. Every new
amati wa takalinga misili.
sa mate ngai doa ya. Buling orang bulibu nga, ngono ngani bulibu, bulibu indo.
misili taliki.
I think since they installed the first chief, they've been practicing this. So every time they install a new chief after one has died, they'll come and do the same thing over here. So I think it goes back to the very first one that they installed. Yes.
Yeah.
This area is said to be home to the remains of an ancient village.
Site there? Ring ditch.
Ring ditch fortification.
Yes. So this is the ditch.
So
Yeah. And the ceremony is the one that side. The one on that elevation, yeah?
yes.
Here we found ancient earthenware buried in the ground. Ancient runes are also said to lie at the foot of this large tree. We encountered this arrangement of stones. It might have been a grave or an altar, but it is still unknown what role it originally served.
This place used to be well intact before.
It may seem like a bit of a coincidence that the remains of an ancient village were found where the experimental farm was created. However, it could be that the people who lived here in times past also thought that it was a good place to live and grow crops. It could be that there is still much that we can learn from them. By visiting this island, we were able to see the impact of climate change in a number of ways. At the same time, we were also able to see various ways that islanders are seeking to confront the issue and preserve their way of life. Moreover, in their efforts, we saw that they have selected sustainable approaches that do not compromise their culture or the environment. Observers may tend to regard the people of the island simply as victims of climate change. However, when one takes a deeper look at what they are doing, it becomes apparent that there may be much we should learn from their wise ways of addressing climate change. Climate change is an issue that must be addressed by everyone who lives on this planet. We believe that the actions and approaches of the islanders hold lessons that can be applied to the issue, and that by putting our heads together, we can come up with a better solution. In March 2016, a few months after we left Fiji, a huge cyclone, Cyclone Winston, struck the country and wreaked havoc nationwide. The village of Navala on Viti Levu Island, where many traditional buildings existed, suffered extremely severe damage. The impact of climate change is and continues to be felt. It is high time to think about what we can do, and then to do it.